what does this Facebook Marketplace listing and this real estate listing have in common? I'll give you a second to think about it. And I'll tell you if you haven't seen it by now, but both of these people are delusional when it comes to listing or selling their car or their house in 2025. And I'm getting comments, I'm getting people messaging me and saying, oh my gosh, this is not right. Florida housing market's still going great in my area. And to that I say, no, it is just not. It is a disaster. And I got some receipts to show it today, and we're gonna look at it in some details and give you some of the numbers. And one of these key factors that always come to place when you talk about real estate is that there needs to be people that have high paying jobs in order to buy and sell real estate. And just because you think it's worth $1 million does not mean that somebody else sees that and brings that to the table. Because guess what? If you're selling your truck on Facebook Marketplace, you might say, this is valued to me at $20,000 or 40 or $1 million. My truck is going for $1 million. But that does not mean that somebody's going to willing to pay for it and somebody else sees that value. And in real estate, it's another great example of value. And if there's no buyers, then you got to keep decreasing the price till you find the value of your listing. And so let's start looking into it, because the real estate downturn in Florida has officially begun. I got a listing of this one, 714 Calusa Yacht and Club Drive. So this looks like it's a nice place. And what I always look at is, I'm always looking at the numbers and I see who and when this has been listed. So let's look at how the curve is. And the curve is coming down. In the last year, it lost 26% value. For those people that are keep screaming at the top of their lungs, buy, 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 buy. Here we go, 26% decrease in list price. And a reality check, what does a reality check look like when you're selling real estate? So a reality check looks like you start selling your house in 2024 and you listed for $569,000. And nobody bought it. It wasn't even pending sales, and you're now down at $399,000. And it's funny because Zillow now tells you if you can make a strong offer and how much likely the seller is to take it. And it is just another way of telling buyers you are delusional when it comes to pricing. And we're seeing that across Florida, that house prices are going down. And then people say, oh, you're in Las Vegas? Yes, house prices might likely come down here too. And then they're saying in the comment section, oh, condos in Miami, still going strong. And to that I say, not so quick. I got another listing that we're gonna look at. And this is in Brickell, in the heart of Brickell. Here we go. Whenever you see, this is like an educational video on real estate. If they say priced and motivated, you know that this is gonna get a low ball offer because they tied up the money. Just real quick, 80% of you guys are not subscribed. So let's change that, and you guys would really, really help me out. So please like and subscribe, and let's continue with the video. They gotta go, they gotta move somewhere or do something else. So now let's look at what they're asking for. Let's look at what they've been selling it for. And holy moly, they've listed it for sale in January for $1,050,000. And now they did a price change, 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 price change. And as you can see, this also has the score of where you can buy this property, or it basically says what is the score of you most likely getting it. Let me write up a semi-competitive offer. And now let's write up a semi-competitive offer. And now all of a sudden you're seeing that the seller will net $700 and about $14,000. So, okay, after all the fees are paid, let's see what they bought it for. Holy moly, they bought it in 17 for 709. So they made a whopping $5,000 for holding that property. Yeah, maybe they had to live in it, but it is never what it seems. The devil is in the detail. And you, as a home buyer, your only one job in today's market is protect your downside. And how do you do that? You find people that are motivated sellers so you can drive the price down. And if your listing agent or the seller agent or a listing agent that has his picture is on a boat like this, you need to run, because he does not have your best interest in mind. That person will only look out for his money, and so he can keep that boat. So you need to make sure that your agent is working for you, and then make sure that you protect your downside. Because if you go into a butchery today and say, is it a good time to buy meat? They'll tell you, of course it is. If you go into a bakery, they'll tell you, of course it's a good time to buy bread. And if you walk into a real estate office, they'll tell you, of course it's a good time to buy. So nobody cares about your money more than you do. So you need to make sure that you protect your downside. And you do not want to be like this other listing that I've showed you, that they've decreased the price $200,000, and that they're going to walk away with a lot less money than they originally thought they would. And now people say doom and gloom content and everything's bad. No, no, no. Listen up closely. If you're in the process of buying, you waited out, you watched my content for a long time and said, hey, the tides will come, the tides will go. You just need to hold on to your money. And now you got the money. Guess what? You can say jump and they'll say how high. And yeah, some stuff is unreasonable to ask, but in this market with listings coming up everywhere and everything else, they'll take less money now because they know in a few months their house is going to be worth a lot less than it is today. So you rather get out of it today because you don't want to catch a falling knife. But if you watch my content, you know that you need to calculate that into the price. And if not, move on. Say, hey, you haven't gotten an offer in a long time. So you haven't gotten an offer in 6, 7, 8 months. So you might not get one. So this is my final offer. If you don't want it, we're out. If they counter, say this is a one-time offer. And depending on how desirable it is, if it's sat on the market for a long time, you walk away, because you with the money will always have options. They're sellers. They're not in a competitive market anymore. So now it's shifted. On the other hand, when it's a competitive market, the script is flipped, right? And they say, hey, if it's not over asking price, we're leaving. Or we're not even going to consider it. And now these real estate agents, they come out and they say, you know what? I'm the greatest list agent because I sell my properties 95% up to list price. Well, you decrease the price so many times, because the house already lost 26% in value since they listed it, or since the beginning of the year. And so now you're saying that you sold it to 5% list price, like off of the price that it sits today, you're going to take another 5% off. That's why I think AI in the future, real estate agents, going to be very, very easy to replace. Very easy. You got the data, you got the AI, and it will tell you, hey, this might not be the perfect buy, or this might be the buy. What's value to you? Oh, you want granite countertops? You type it in. How much is that worth? Well, that's worth about $6,000, $7,000. Let's pull quote to see if this is worth it. Oh no, it isn't. Or maybe it is. So maybe it is worth spending $3-4 grand more on a house that has one than not, because that's important to you. And now we're seeing AI will come to Zillow, it'll come to homes.com, and so it's going to make it even more competitive. Data driven, so the power is with the person. So the power of AI, you just got to utilize the power of AI. But as you're seeing across the United States. Houses become on sale, they're sitting longer, and you as a home buyer is gonna have the pick of the litter. And if a real estate agent tells you, oh no, and you do a little Google searches and you do look at some of your area and it isn't, you need to fire that agent. And one of these strategies that I've heard on TikTok is, oh, let's just list it way below market price and then we'll get offers. And what you got to be doing is you got to be very cautious. You got to start reading contract. So why would you might need to read the contract? Because if you list your house way below market value and you get an offer for that full asking price and your real estate agent said, you know what, we're going to get 10, 20, 30, $40,000 above and we're going to get 5-6 offers, and that's a strategy, then you are on hook for the full commission, because he said, or they said, whatever it is, said, hey, we'll list the house for $460, but the value is $550 and we're going to get a bidding war going or something like it. And all of a sudden, you have to pay out the commission. Even if everything falls through, you got to pay out the commission. So read the fine print, educate yourself. And now with GPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, you should not have an issue of finding the right solution for you and making sure that, is this a good competitive listing? Is this not? And what do you think? How much downturn will it have? And when I get home, I'm going to run these listings through an AI. And I'll show it right here on the screen to see, I haven't done that yet, how much more downwards or downturn in the market is there for these areas. Because I think there's still a lot of room left, and you do not want to wipe out your hard-earned money, your hard-earned down payment, just because some real estate agents on a boat said, yeah, do this and do that, just because they need to keep their boat payment, they need to keep their house payment, they need to keep their cars that they're spending money on and everything else. Because everybody has an agenda, and them selling it is basically not in your best interest if they're just trying to get in and out, because they're like, hey, I need to get in, I need to get out, I need to just make the sale happen so I can get a commission, so I can feed my family. And I to some extent get that, but it is not in your best interest just to take the first offer to do all kinds of other stuff just so the real estate agent guy gets a commission. And I get that sometimes the best offer is the first offer, and so there's a fine balance. So you always got to be looking at, what are my options? What am I getting into? Do I know what I'm getting into? And this is what my content's kind of all about. You need to know the numbers. You need to know the facts. You need to know, maybe it's a better idea for me to extend my rental lease and see what it costs to eventually break my lease. And then during that time, I can then figure out, hey, maybe I can buy now, or maybe I can buy later, because more layoffs are coming. Harder for people to keep these expensive second homes, and these price reductions are keep piling up. Motivated sellers everywhere. So you can look for another year, 6, 7, 8 months. You just need to get a good deal. And let me know what you guys think about all this. But this is reality of 2025. People are desperate. People need to sell. People need the money. People had taken out car loans they can't afford. People taking out the dumb ideas. And now they got to sell assets to cover those dumb ideas that they've did. And so, yeah, there's people that made the right moves, and there's a lot of people that made the wrong moves, because Americans, and I've noticed this more and more, live by quarters. They live by the week. They say, oh, I got money today. That means it's going to keep on coming. I got a good economy right now. We don't need to put money away because I got credit cards and all this other stuff. Americans think that their credit cards are their emergency funds and everything else. And now we're seeing that your dumb mistakes during COVID, your impulse purchases are gonna come and haunt you. And this is why I always say, you need to get into things you understand. If you can't explain it, you shouldn't get into it. And If you know the market, that's good. But if you don't know the market, and if you haven't dealt with real estate and everything else, you need to become an expert. It's about 15 minutes a day for a few weeks, and you can become an expert in real estate, in stock buying, or whatever it is. But you need to start somewhere. And to that I say, thanks for watching. Thanks for being with me for 16, 17 minutes on my walk today. Let me know what you guys think about all this. But man, the signs are there and the downturn has begun. So how much lower would you write these offers? And I'll see you in the next one.